He's caught over 800 10-pound-plus largemouth bass, holder of 13 worldwide patents, and inventor of the weedless trolling motor prop. Doug Hannon is the Bass Professor.
We've said over and over again, that fish like a constant. They like something that's predictable. Day after day it's the same, so they can set up a routine and develop an efficient feeding pattern. So some of the hardest conditions occur when you actually have either rising or falling water, and I'd start with rising, because rising water is more difficult to contend with. It's great for the fish, but it's tough on the fishermen because the water goes up into areas, and basically the cover that's available to fish, that's good fish holding cover where there's a lot of feed, is spreading out, because as we all know, fish like to be as shallow as they can be and still maintain good mobility. So they'll move up into these shallows, and the lakes tend to, as the contour comes up, tend to flatten. So when the water gets up to the lip, as it grows way back into the woods, and basically becomes a place for fish to spread out and for bait to spread out ad infinitum. Plus you got a lot of cover to deal with. It's newly inundated, and it makes things tough. And the places that I tend to choose when water is rising, which means not only is it coming into the lake and the lake going up, but it's probably also flowing into the lake from tributaries and stuff. So look for incoming streams and where water is mixing. You'll see sometimes even a drastic change in color of the water, where the water changes from one color to the other as a dark creek comes into the lake, which was clear, because most of the time when this water really starts flowing, it picks up a lot of stuff with it. So what you're trying to do really is pinpoint fish in a situation that dissipates it, as we said. So your incoming water tends to, in creeks and stuff, be concentrated. It's channeled, and not only is it coming in, but unlike the water that's flowing in out of the basin and out of the marsh areas, which is a very gentle flow and a slow rise, this water tends to be channeled by a creek and tends to rush in with a current. Either side of that creek mouth, there's an eddy, and we can often see it even on the surface in terms of a mud line or a change in color of the water, or even it just might be foam or debris like wood chips and leaves and sediment that makes a line. And remember that line actually is flowing over the top of the water, because the creek is coming in at the top and there's a lake down there at the bottom. So it flows in and it makes a big wedge, and there's an overhang. So when you get to the edge, you're not really at the edge, because the edge is coming down here like this. So think of this water line as a big overhang, almost like lily pads or a cover vegetation, and make sure that you fish back into it a ways, underneath it. So drop your lure maybe 10 feet, even 20 feet back past the edge to find the biggest concentrations of fish, because the fish right on the surface will be blown away by the current. And down there where the water's mixing, that by definition is where there's no current, where the current edge is, and that's the edge that the fish are on. So imagine that inversion and try to fish it, and you'll have better success in any way I know of when in fishing rising water. Like I say, it can be tough, and just to embark back in the woods and away from cover, away from the edge of the lake, is sometimes counterproductive. So get in there, find those incoming creeks, and that's where you're going to find your biggest bass on incoming and rising water. If you've enjoyed today's edition as much as I have being here for you, then don't forget, click on that button and send this to us.